Namaste. Today we will discuss one unimaginable incident, the death-like experience, meeting the Kala Devata and coming back instantly, how it could happen, what impact or what shock it could create among the people who are witnessing to such incident is little thrilling but little fearful also for those people who are involved. Maybe for others it will be little thrilling. Let us discuss that issue. Like the last episode, this episode or this incident happened little earlier than the last incident where we come to know about Muniyamma. Till date, I have no clue about Muniyamma. One of my friends who saw the video had sent me. Muniyamma is none other than the Mariyamma, the Kali, the Mahakali. That is what his experience he felt and he has sent me. Everything said and done, we will have to accept divinity comes in one or other form to save us. Many times the devils also come to trouble us, but the divinity clinches and helps us in more ways than not. It was in the second part of 1976. I was in the same company manufacturing liquors. It was almost 2 years I have spent in that company. I have established a very good rapport with the market trends as well as the vendors as well as the customers, because I was all in all in that company, participating in various activities supporting the manufacturing. In 1976, not too many companies had a license to manufacture vehicles. The car license was not. The car license was a dream even for Tatas. Tatas were manufacturing only heavy vehicles. Ashok Leyland was manufacturing. Premier Automobiles and Hindustan Motors were manufacturing Ambassador cars and Premier Padmini or standard cars. Other than that, one Sipani Automobiles was manufacturing a newly introduced small cars. Beyond that, vehicle manufacturing was only by vehicle manufacturing was done only for defense purpose by some organizations. The company was in need of molasses as well as the spirit for manufacture of Indian-made foreign liquors. The quantum of requirement of spirits was growing like anything. The transportation of spirits from the sugar factories to the factory of manufacture was like a 24-hour job. Every day the dedicated lorries with the tankers will come to the factory, unload the spirit, go to the sugar factory, wait there and pick up and come. This was a routine every day. But there was shortage of tanker lorries for the purpose of transporting spirits. Spirits are to be loaded only in dedicated vehicles. No other items or no other material can be loaded in the vehicle. Such being the case, the output of lorries coming out from Tata or Ashok Leyland was less than the demand that market has created. The person who has booked a chassis has to wait for years together to get the chassis. Once it comes, then he has to decide what he has to build over it, whether he has to build a lorry, he has to build a goods lorry, or he has to build a bus, or he has to build a truck, or he has to build a tanker. If at all he is building tanker, whether it should be used for milk or it should be used for petroleum products, or it should be used for gas, or it should be used for the spirit, etc., has to be determined. There was a great demand for lorry itself. Such being the case, one day the director called me and he said, you will have to go to Hosapete in Bellary district. I said, yes, I will go. Then he gave me an assignment. In Hosapete, he gave the address. There is a person by name Ramanna who is the chassis builder. All the chassis, whoever purchases, or a set of people who purchase chassis, will come to Ramanna for bodybuilding. So the calculation of the director was that once we got hold of the chassis builder, then we can get some information when the chassis is likely to come, who is the owner, can we have a dealing with him so that he gives his chassis for us to build tanker for transporting spirits, etc. With this intention, he wanted me to go to Hospete and bring that Ramanna with me so that there could be a discussion direct face to face instead of creating a condition of correspondence through phone letter, which will take more time. Moreover, this Ramanna was an unpad person, so writing a letter to him is not going to work. With this with this information in background, he wanted me to go and bring Ramanna. I took the evening bus and early morning I reached Hospete. After freshening up myself, taking bath, etc., around 10 o'clock I went to Ramanna's house. Ramanna was not there. His wife and children were there. I was given to understand that Ramanna has gone to Bangalore and it will take 2 or 3 days for him to come back to Hospete. There was no phone contact like today in those days. It was in 1976. So I decided to take the night bus and reach Bangalore to give the information to the director. So I have to spend the whole day. It was around 11:30, 12 o'clock. My assignment of not fetching Ramanna is over. That is what I thought. And I came out. Then I went to Tungabhadra Dam. I had a view of Tungabhadra Dam. I came back, I had my lunch and I took the night bus and came and reached Bangalore. And after reaching Bangalore, I went home, freshed up myself at home, and as usual I came to office. And the first thing in the morning I reported to the director that Ramanna has come to Bangalore. When I came and reported to the director, he called me, he laughed at me and he said, "Can you now go and fetch Ramanna in Bangalore?" I said no. Somehow I do not know how I missed this particular point. It was my innocence at the time. I do not know. Usually I do not complete the assignment in this way. Immediately I realized I should have waited in Hospete only till Ramanna comes. Then he asked me, "What did I tell you?" I said, "Bring Ramanna." "Did you bring Ramanna?" I said, "No." Then he said, Where will Ramanna go?" I said, "He will go home, sir." "Where it is?" I said, "It is Hospete." "Then again you go today night and bring Ramanna. Let it happen 10 days or 15 days, no issues. You be there only. Bring Ramanna. Physically he has to be with you and come here." So that day night I had to go to Hospite again. But getting a ticket in the bus was very difficult because very limited buses were going on. It was only the KSRTC bus. So I went to the bus stand, which was just opposite to the factory, and conductor promised me that he will give a ticket. They will reserve some seats for the politicians, MLAs and MPs, 3 or 4 seats. The last moment, if they do not come, I will give you a seat. This is what he promised. So then he gave me a seat number 12, where I went and sat. A person who was booked seat number 12 did not come till the bus was started moving. So I sat in seat number 12. The moment the bus went some distance, about 10 or 15 feet, the person was booked number 12 seat got into the bus, and the moment he was sighted, the conductor gave him seat in front of the driver, near the driver in the cabin. There were 4 persons can sit next to the driver. So he offered a seat to him. That fellow sat there for 2 minutes. After that he came back and he said he want seat number 12. The conductor convinced him that you did not come on time. But this person took up an argument stating that before you took the bus, I have entered here, I have booked the ticket, you will have to give me the seat number 12. So I did not want to enter into an argument with that person. I offered the seat, and he also was little forcibly telling me to vacate the seat. So I went to the front side and I sat there. The journey was going comfortably, no issues in it. The distance between Bangalore and Hospete was about 450 kilometers, and it was one full night journey. So the travel was going on. At Tumkur, one daughter and mother got into the bus. The moment the mother and daughter got into the bus, there was already myself and another old man. He was little tired or he was a little drunk, I do not know. But by look, the family did not think that they can sit with that person. It was a seat that could accommodate 4 persons. I was already there. So the mother and daughter did not find comfort sitting with that old man. So she requested me if I can adjust. So I adjusted. I sat next to the old man, and mother was sitting next to me, and the girl was sitting next to mother. The journey was carrying on. After some time, the girl did not find little comfortable because she was finding it difficult to hold something. So the girl came and sat next to me. Now, left side of me, the old man is there. Right side of me, the girl is there. And next to that, mother was. The journey was continuing. Now, in between, after 5-6 kilometers or 10 kilometers, again there was a stop. So as and when they stop it, they switch on the light. The person who was in the seat number 12 was looking at me. The girl who was sitting was looking little beautiful, very young also, almost my age only. I do not know what was running in his mind. So he was just off and on, looking at me, looking at that girl, looking at the mother. This was going on. As and when they switch off the light, he will keep quiet. As and when they switch on the light, he will look at us. This was going on. So at one stage, after half an hour journey or 1 hour journey, I was also a little tired and I also closed my eyes. So after 4 hours of journey, we reached a place called Chitradurga. It was at that time there was a bypass road was built in Chitradurga. So the buses were not going inside the city town, but it was going via the bypass road. The bus driver parked the bus and many people got down to refresh themselves. Some people went for eating. It was almost 11 o'clock in the midnight. Some people went to eat. So it took about 10 to 15 minutes, and after 15 minutes all got into the bus. But the moment I went and sat, this tall person came and he said, "No sir, you go to 12 seat only, I will sit here." I told him, "You said you wanted seat number 12 which you have booked. Now you are asking." "No sir, you wanted that 12 seat, no, you go there, I will sit here only." Then the conductor, the driver also interfered, and that person was a little demanding. So I came to seat number 12 and I sat in seat number 12. I don't want to create any problem. I said, "Okay, you go and sit there." I sat there. So the bus started. The moment the bus was started, maybe about 3 to 4 minutes, the bus driver applied the brake in such a way, it was so strong. Somebody came in between. He applied the brake So everybody got a hit and the bus was stopped. Bus driver got down and went to see some accident has happened. Luckily, there was a tender coconut fellow who wanted to cross the road. In those days, the roads were single road, not double road. He wanted to cross the road. Out of hurry, he left the bicycle. Bus went on the tender coconut, and the driver was so troubled. He applied such a strong brake to save. All the persons got down from the bus to see what had happened. Absolutely nothing had happened. Everybody started coming inside the bus, but the person who was sitting in number 12 seat had bleeding in the nose and ears. This person became motionless. By touching, he fell and he expired on the spot. The old man who was sitting, he was injured. Other than injury and some small fracture, I do not know what had happened. Could have been a fracture. Then police arrived and it took about 3 to 4 hours for us to get away from that, because they wanted some eyewitness to be, Magzar to be made, and they wanted us to, all those people who were nearby, to sign the Magzar also. So after 3 hours only I was able to take another bus and proceed my journey. In between, when the person died, everybody surrounded me and asking me, "Sir, you were supposed to sit there. Nothing had happened to you, sir. Nothing had happened to you. You were sitting there, sir." Some people did not see me at all having come to the seat number 12. But those people who did not see me coming to seat number 12 were asking, "Sir, you were sitting. How did this person go there?" I too did not know what had happened. It was like something shock. It was just 2 minutes I came to seat number 12. That incident and that accident had happened. That person who was in seat number 12, who demanded the seat in front and went there, nothing had happened to all the 3 passengers who were there, except the old man, some small injury. The girl was safe, the mother was safe. I had shifted to seat number 12, and the person who was in seat number 12 is no more. I did not understand how it happened, why it happened. Many times the divine calculations are something different which we fail to understand. I continued my journey. I stayed in Hospete. I visited the ruins of Hampi for 3 days. I spent a lot of time. I went to another movie again because this Ramanna was not coming. On the 4th or 5th day, Ramanna came. After getting Ramanna, I booked a car. Both of us came in car to Bangalore, and I completed my assignment successfully. But that incident was shared only between myself and my 2 of my friends in the company, and another cashier who was there at the time I shared. But in a brief, I explained to the director, who said, "Grateful to you. You have pledged your life and did this assignment." And this kind of incidents sometimes shocks us. Sometimes we are happy that we have been saved. But for me at the time, I was more thinking about that person who become victim to the situation. Whether it is a greed or it is a lust, it is something beyond that. The calling of the Kala Devata was there. In astrologically, we calculate there are 107 types of Durmarana, Akala Marana, but only one is Kala Marana. That is, that Marana cannot be escaped. All other 107 escapes are always, it is called Akala Marana. We will escape from that through good deeds, through devotion, through sincerity, through being truthful, through various aspects of energies covering us with lots and lots of innocence and wisdom. So long the innocence and wisdom is surrounded to us, the saving grace always comes from the divinity. This is what the lesson I learned from this particular experience. We will see in another video another miracle which happened in my life. All the very best. Om Sadguru Babaji Namaha. Om Sadguru Babaji Namaha. Om Sadguru Babaji Namaha.